Reviewing 2 episodes, 12 and 13 this Walker Wednesday, Guardians and CHOKEPOINT respectively. Twice The Walking Dead, twice The Walkers, twice the humor and snarkiness. Why would I promise that? Hit the button. Let's get started. The Walking Dead. Starting off with episode 12 called Guardians, which power struggles are the overall theme. Then we will get into CHOKEPOINT episode 13, where we realize that there are only 3 episodes left in this season, and something big better happen. Hey there, hi there, ho there, Andrew here, the horror host of Generations X, Y, and Z inside Davis Manor, talking TV shows, movies, and haunts, and this is Walker Wednesdays, and if you have no idea what Walker Wednesdays is, well, let me pause. For self-promotion, you can go ahead and check out the entire playlist of Walker Wednesdays. It is basically my thoughts of the Walking Dead show, per episode basis. I do them on Wednesdays because I want to give plenty of time for people to watch the show, okay? And because I give out spoilers when I do this. I also want to only have maybe like 1,000 views as opposed to everybody that goes ahead and uploads on Monday instead and gets like 500,000 views. Because, you know, I'm an underachiever that way. Ugh. Let's just get into this. First off, I have to say this. Does anybody notice that the cast has taken over the previously on The Walking Dead guy's job? I mean, what? They're not making enough money already? They gotta take some poor schlub's job now? And the episode starts with Lydia back with the Whisperers. Thank you for not being a flashback. And Alpha grills Lydia with Alpha's own intimidating way. Then we see power struggles within Alexandria. The council is divided. Aaron backs Michonne, and Sadiq with Gabriel are on the other side wanting to join the fair. And might I ask this, why does Michonne always look like somebody cut one? I mean, did I go to the Robert De Niro School of Acting? The foundation of Father Gabriel, knowing that Rosita is pregnant with Sadiq's baby, is finally laid out, and Portrait of a Serial Killer Henry sneaks up on the Whisperers only to get caught. Of course he's gonna get caught. They're called the Whisperers, they're quiet. You have to be part ninja to sneak up on them. Personally, I couldn't care any more about Portrait of a Serial Killer Henry and what happens to the human hormone, but I'm happy that we finally get a chance to see a character that I have wanted to see for quite some time, Beta. And then my wife mentioned that he looked like Chewbacca and totally ruined it for me. Especially when Chewbacca was in that mud prison in the Solo movie, so now I have to call Beta Chew Beta. We come back to Father Gabriel sweeping up the church when Eugene shows up with charts, yes, plural, on the pros and cons of why Gabriel should stay with Rosita. Normally, I would say something funny or awkward about this scene, but this scene was funny and awkward enough as its own, so let's go back to the Whisperers. Alpha is talking with Lydia amongst the Whisperers, and the scene makes me wonder a few things. Like, why is Lydia slumped over like a walker when she's not dressed like one? And why are the Whisperers not covered in walker guts? Especially when it was established in earlier seasons that the walkers could smell humans because they didn't smell dead. How are the Whisperers masking that? It just doesn't seem like things are canon over here. And I'm on to you, Whisperers, even like when Alpha gives Lydia an apple. I mean, what are you doing? This is The Walking Dead. You're supposed to have a tomato, not an apple. Everybody knows. We've established this in Walker Wednesday. You take a bite of a tomato like it's an apple. You don't take a bite of an apple like an apple. What is this? Amateur hour? And more importantly is this. I finally locked down Samantha Morton's accent as Alpha. She's doing Zelda Rubinstein's voice as Tangina from Poltergeist. If you do not believe me on this, listen to this clip.
You have to do whatever it takes to protect what you love, even from themselves.
Honey, you're gonna be strong for me and for your daughter. I could do absolutely nothing without your faith in this world and your love for the children.
I've never heard anybody say that before, so I truly believe I'm the first one to say that Samantha Morton has taken the accent of Tangina from Poltergeist and built it around Alpha's accent. I could be wrong. What do you think? Leave a comment down below. We then get a chance to see Negan back in the cell talking with Michonne, getting under her skin. And one thing I did not catch in this show, but it was brought up in Talking Dead, and that is that the books that Negan is reading are about constitutional law. So that means he is basically learning while in prison what it is like to run a community, how to govern, all of that. Man, please let Jeffrey Dean Morgan take over this show. Connie and Daryl are jiving together, tracking down Portrait of a Serial Killer Henry, and I really think that this couple works well. Daryl doesn't speak much and Connie is deaf, so hey, that's a win-win scenario. A couple of confrontational scenes pop up. Alpha is challenged from someone in the group, and Judith challenges Michonne about Negan. And I still stand my ground on the fact that RJ is a figment of Michonne's imagination on this one. She looked at RJ before Judith started talking, and the only person that has ever mentioned RJ at all is Carol. And I think Carol was checking on Michonne's psyche, if you know what I'm talking about. I find it odd that nobody on this show, nobody, not even Judith, has mentioned this character at all on the show. The last scene of Guardians has portrait of serial killer Henry and Lydia rescued at night from Daryl and Connie dressed as the Whisperers, while the Whisperers themselves get overrun by walkers. And I have to say, as episodes go, this was pretty decent. There were enough things going on with different storylines that the pacing was strong enough and steady enough with walkers and violence to appease everybody on there. So let's just get into the next episode. And we start off the next episode right where we left off, with Daryl leading Lydia, Connie, and Henry away from the Whisperer camp. And since they're running so fast and frantic, that means the weakest one has to trip and fall in the classic horror trope, and it's Henry. The fair gets into full swing, but Jerry addresses a ransom note after he and his crew get rolled, and the people that did this are called the Highwaymen. The Highwaymen? Listen, if these guys are named Waylon Jennings, Willie Nelson, Chris Christopherson, and Johnny Cash, I want this show to stop immediately and reboot, because those guys will be a lot more interesting to follow instead. And speaking of highway, the Hilltop delegation to the fair gets stopped because of debris, and they begin to clean up to pass through. Daryl and crew find one of the inept's old hiding places and creates a choke point for the Whisperers to show up in. The Kingdom shows up to the Highwaymen's base, and they chose diplomacy over confrontation because of Carol. And there is some good tension that builds up with, fancy talk from King Ezekiel, and the cowboy from the Highwaymen just goes ahead and shrugs it off. Then Carol mentions this.
When's the last time any of you have seen a movie?
Well, that depends. What movie are you showing?
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
What, too soon? I mean, come on, this is like 10 years in the zombie apocalypse. This film could have been a documentary by now. And back at the safe house with the Whisperers breaking in, we finally get to see some nasty one-on-one action that actually might turn some people's heads in disgust.
Hi.
Yeah, well, that was pretty disgusting to watch, but I actually meant the fight scenes. And you know what? Before I get into the fight scenes, let me talk about Earl and Tammy Rose Sutton here real quick. I've been saying that the Suttons are living on borrowed time, especially with all the character development they've been getting. To include this episode, we know you are going to kill them, and then suddenly walkers begin to surround Hilltop's delegation. Yes! Finally, my prediction of Earl and Tammy Rose going down is happening. No, they're not. The Highwaymen arrive to save Hilltop with a treaty that they just made with the Kingdom. Back at the safe house, we get to see Daryl's team versus Beta's team, and everyone gets involved in this except for Lydia, who's locked in a closet. And when I say everyone is involved, I mean even Daryl's dog, which is named Dog. You know what? I'm going to give that dog a name, especially after that awesome kill. So I am going to call that dog Larry from now on, because Larry is a better name of something of the canine persuasion than Dog. And except for Beta, all the Whisperers are now defeated, meaning that Daryl has got this one in the bag, right? I mean, nobody could defeat Daryl, right?
Oh, yeah? Hey, Kool-Aid!
Oh, yeah! Here comes Kool-Aid. I'm gonna save the day.
Seriously, it's a good fight between the two of them. I haven't seen such a lopsided fight be that entertaining since Thomas Jane's Punisher went against Kevin Nash's The Russian in the 2004 Punisher film. Hilltop made it to the Kingdom with the help of the Highwaymen, and I do hope that they get more screen time. Don't screw this up, Kang! Daryl then tells the gangs that they're not going back to any community, and there's a big world out there, so I'm assuming that they're going to walk to Earth like Kane and Kung Fu. Then we see Beta get up from the elevator shaft that he fell down, and he looks ticked. And I think he says something at the end, too. Make sure you hit that bell icon after subscribing so you become part of the notification squad and get notified the moment that I upload. And I will see you in the next video.